Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, welcome back to another video. Now, this is going to be Moonkin Masterclass number whatever this is now, but we're using the same quantum physics Moonkin spreadsheet that we've been using on all of these videos. So if you've seen any of these other ones, this should be relatively familiar. Don't get overwhelmed with the numbers. We're going to go through this, but I just wanted to touch on the stats I'm using for this comparison is only input on this main page here. So I'm assuming 500 spell power, 15% crit, and 10% hit, which is pretty close, more or less, my stats in a raid environment without world buffs and things like that. So that's the numbers I wanted to use just as kind of like a starting point. Now over here on this tab, the only thing you guys really need to look at is this chunk of numbers here. These are the different ranks of Starfire. They're all the same stats as you go across the columns, but it's rank 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And so it's basically all the numbers comparing here. You can see this column here is the DPS, so you can see it goes up roughly about 10% increments in each rank of Starfire, give or take. And then we have the damage per mana, the total damage done, which is the summation of the base damage of the spell and the bonus damage that we have, which is 500 because of our 500 spell power, and Starfire is a 100% spell power coefficient spell. And then we have the mana cost of the spell, and then the cast speed. The cast speed is not exactly 3.0 because of our crit chance. It's factoring in Nature's Grace procs and then averaging it out. But that should all be pretty straightforward of how to get those. Like always, if you guys have questions on that, ask me down below. Now, the main thing that is really significant in the first glance of going through these numbers is that rank 1 Starfire has a damage per mana ratio of 7.16 damage per mana. Now, that's absolutely insane. If you look at other spells and their efficiency across every class in the game, that's incredibly high. I'm not sure that there's actually another spell that gets up to this high, and this actually keeps going up because of our spell power coefficient being 100%. As you get better and better gear, if you're using flasks, wizard oils, arcane elixirs, things like that, this gets just exponentially higher. It just keeps going up because your base mana cost is so low. Since you learn rank 1 Starfire at level 20, there's no penalty on it. That's like one of the requirements of not having a penalty. I'm gonna make sure we don't get a Q here. Yeah, so it basically just keeps scaling. Now, that's kind of the big takeaway from this, is that 7.16 damage to mana ratio is insane, incredibly high. What I wanted to compare though is it worth basically using one of these middle ranks of Starfire? Is it worth using rank 3 or rank 4? And TLDR, no, it's not, in my opinion, because what ends up happening is I did a comparison here, which are these percentages. These are going to get kind of confusing if you try and really thoroughly go through and understand these, but basically rank 1 Starfire, what these two numbers right here are telling us is it's doing 56% of the damage, but it's only costing us 27% of the mana, right? So ideally you would think that if you're downranking that it would scale proportionately. So if you're doing 50% less damage, it would cost 50% less mana. But what's happening as we downrank, the damage is going down in smaller increments as the mana. So as you get into lower and lower ranks, you're saving more mana than you're losing in damage. So it keeps getting more and more beneficial the lower you downrank from a mana efficiency standpoint. So this column right here is basically the variance between those two. So this doesn't mean anything like in an actual real scenario, but what it's saying is the difference between the damage lost and the mana loss is 28%, which is basically we're gaining 28% additional damage for the amount of mana that we're not wasting. It's hard to explain what that is, but this is basically comparing the variance between these two. And you can see as we scale up in ranks, the gap between the damage lost and the mana cost actually gets smaller. Up to the next rank is 22, 15, 10, 6, 2. So that gap starts closing and closing and closing. What this basically means is that on our rank 1, like rank 1 compared to rank 2 has a 46% increased efficiency between these two. This is just comparing the subsequent rank. Rank 2 to rank 3 has a 26% increase. Rank 3 to rank 4 has a 15, and so on. What happens is as you get higher and higher rank, that gap starts closing. The amount of actual efficiency variance between higher ranks is smaller and smaller. What this means is rank 1 is exponentially more efficient than the other ranks. And the other thing to take away from this is, like I had said, is it scales really, really well as you get better and better gear, because that rank 1 Starfire still has a 100% spell power coefficiency. You're going to keep getting more and more and more efficiency at 86 mana every single cast. So I'm really excited to kind of test this out and play with this more as we get into the later, phases. This isn't something that was really that common or talked about in like vanilla, and even in private servers. Downranking was kind of a thing and known, but most classes don't do it, and they don't have the same benefit that we do, where we're losing a small portion of DPS percentage wise and then gaining a huge portion of mana efficiency. No other class has the same kind of relationship with any of their main spells in their rotation like we do with Starfire and downranking Starfire. So with that being said, I'm going to get back into this AB, but hopefully that was helpful for you guys. If you guys have questions, by all means ask me down below. I would love to know your guys' thoughts on this. But TLDR, if you're trying to do damage, use max rank. If you're trying to save mana, use rank 1, and basically try and juggle between those two to end every fight with 0 mana, hopefully optimizing and getting your DPS up as high as possible. All right, I'll catch you guys in the next one. See ya.